In this video, I'll give you the highest risk, highest reward running backs to target in 2024 fantasy redraft leagues. I'm Jim, Coventry of Rotowire. Let's start out with Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts. Remember in 2021, Taylor rushes for 1,811 yards and 18 touchdowns, adds another 360 yards and 2 scores through the air. That is the incredible upside that Jonathan Taylor possesses. That offensive line is still very good in Indianapolis. Also, Taylor could benefit from Anthony Richardson being the quarterback. Talk about it all the time. The RPO from the lethal running quarterback. Defenses often against Taylor in the past could really go downhill. They could stack boxes or play lighter boxes and just get after him, knowing he was the threat to stop. Now, if Richardson is using RPOs, the linebackers are going to be in a very uncertain status. Does Richardson run? Does Taylor run? Oh, does Richardson pull the ball back and take advantage and throw over the top? Those defenses are going to be conflicted. And if you give Jonathan Taylor a nanosecond of hesitation by defense, he is an elite level runner that could match those numbers from last year. And even though Taylor had an injury-plagued 2023, played 10 games, he was 71st percentile in broken tackle rate, 84th percentile in yards after contact. Now, he didn't play many snaps because of the weird season with contract problem, ankle problem. 40 snaps only 5 times, and he only hit 50 snaps once. So that was a problem. But this year, Jonathan Taylor, should see a much heavier workload. Trey Sermon and Evan Hull are behind him on the depth chart. Realistically, they're probably not going to command a lot of snaps. Now, the risk, the missed time. And again, a lot of it was the ankle injury of 2 years ago. Taylor played 11 games in 2022. He played 10 games last year. He had a late season injury on surgery to his hand. So that's a lot of missed time. And that's the gamble with running backs. Running backs are obviously the highest impact position in terms of taking hits. With that comes injuries. So Jonathan Taylor has a massive ceiling, but also now we've seen injury concerns that make it very nerve-wracking to draft him. Achane is next of the Miami Dolphins. High risk, high reward. We know the reward. Weeks 2 through 4 last year. 51, 27, 23 PPR points in those 3 games. In those 3 games, Achane averaged 12.6 yards per carry. He also was very active as a receiver in those games. 8 catches, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air. On the ground, he had 5 more scores. It was a thing of beauty, and everybody knew Achane could light up fantasy football scoreboards like very few could. And then Achane got injured, missed 5 to 6 games between week 6 and 12. When he comes back, the Dolphins' offense have been largely figured out. The last 7 games, includes that NFL playoff game, Achane, 4.97 yards per carry. Now, that's good, but that's Raheem Mostert. That's about the same as Mostert gets. 1 touchdown in the last 6 games. Those are fluky. You can't predict touchdowns week to week. I get it. But again, it was a very different Achane at the end of the season. But now the other number people will look at, the yards per carry for the season, it was well over 7. Hey, Barry Sanders couldn't sniff that. So people see that 7+ yards per carry. This is the running back we have. Mike McDaniel's a genius coach. People are seeing the upside case. I think the downside case is 5'9", 188. Mostert's there. Jalen Wright gets drafted. Other running backs in the room. Even Chris Brooks is there. All that said, probably going to see a limited workload. That 4.97 yards per carry in the last 7 games may be closer to the reality. Think about it. How many running backs ever hit 7 yards per carry? Good luck finding that, right? So all that said, Achane, maybe he is that guy. Maybe he is that guy that rushed for 7 yards per carry. And if he is, you've got the highest upside. But if he's a 4.97 on limited work, you got the risk. If you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the Rotowire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, you can check out all of our fantasy football content and rankings by getting a free 2-day trial. No credit card needed. Just head on over to rotowire.com/Jim and you can check out all of our content. All right, Kyren Williams of the Los Angeles Rams is next, and it's really hard to argue the upside. In 12 games, Kyren Williams, 1,144 scrimmage yards and 12 touchdowns. I know he crushed Arizona for a lot of those, but he was very good when he was a starting running back in that lineup. And he was seeing work from week one. Last year, he was switching in with Cam Akers from week one and successful. So Kyren Williams was amazing. Now, here's the big problem, the risk. Injuries. As a rookie, Kyren Williams missed 7 games. And remember, Kyren Williams, they were trying to fit him into that lineup in the second half of the season, and he was not very good. So he didn't earn much playing time at all. Last year, he missed 5 games. And don't forget, he broke his hand in the NFC playoff game. Fortunately, it wasn't a regular season game where he'd miss more time, but it was just, off season from that, so he didn't miss time. But that injury is part of the equation. The other thing is, Sean McVay, genius, gets Puka Nacua to a rookie record level. Demarcus Robinson, as soon as he was inserted into the 3-receiver set, weekly fantasy factor for his whole career, not a fantasy factor. Kyren Williams, as we said, almost 100 scrimmage yards per game. Think back a few years ago, Cooper Kupp, 1,900 yards, Superman season. Sean McVay's a genius. But Sean McVay knows that Kyren Williams is not durable, and they drafted Blake Corum with a high pick. Blake Corum may be more talented than Kyren Williams, and I don't think that's a stretch. So in the effort to preserve Williams, and also if Corum is that much better, this could be a split backfield. Williams was the guy last year. And if Corum is significantly better, maybe even the touches flip in his manner. So if Kyren Williams retains his role and stays healthy, elite upside. But there is a lot of risk as well. The last one, Rachaad White of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nobody argues that Rachaad White had a phenomenal fantasy season. 990 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground. That's not even it. 549 and 3 more touchdowns through the air. That was a fantasy season, and you got him late in drafts. This year's going obviously much higher. Here's the thing. Volume is king in fantasy football. Last year, Sean Tucker got a chance, did nothing. Chase Edmonds did very little. They draft Bucky Irving. Now, his draft profile wasn't very good. In college, he was productive. What are we getting out of him? That we don't know. A bet on Rachaad White, if you want the high reward, is that he is going to get last year's volume. And if he gets that volume, he may only break tackles at a 26th percentile rate. He may only gain yards at a 33rd percentile rate after contact. But he's a great receiver. And if he gets 336 touches again, he is going to be an RB1. No questions. End of story. Flip side, there is no NFL team that wants to give a running back that's not built like one of the big bell cow backs 336 touches in a season. And to do it 2 years in a row, not so much. So if Bucky Irving or somebody else is decent, Rachaad White is going to probably lose 150 touches off the top because he is not a great player. He's volume driven. So if you're betting on Rachaad White, you're betting that he retains the volume. If you don't think he's going to get that volume, he is going to crush downward his ADP and not be very valuable.